Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you might completely change how you see the women around you right now. As you're watching this, there's probably a woman, maybe someone you see regularly, who's been actively trying to get your attention. And I don't mean in a subtle, passive way. I mean, she's been making deliberate efforts to make sure you notice her, to stand out, to get you to look her way and think about her. The crazy part, you've been completely missing it. See, here's what most guys don't understand about female attraction. You think if a woman wants your attention, she'll just walk up to you and start a conversation, or make it completely obvious, but that's not how it actually works. Women have their own language for saying, notice me, pay attention to me, look at me, and most guys don't speak that language, so they miss every signal. Women aren't going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm trying to get your attention. They're going to do things that make them stand out, that put them in your line of sight, that create reasons for you to focus on them, and they're doing it in ways that seem natural but are actually very calculated. And if you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've been walking past these attention grabs every single day, completely oblivious to what's really happening. I'm talking about the woman who suddenly shows up where you are, who changes something about her appearance when you're around, who gets louder or more animated when you're nearby, who seems to always be in your peripheral vision. These aren't coincidences. These are strategic moves to capture your focus. And here's the thing that's going to blow your mind when a woman is trying to grab your attention. She's already interested. The work of making herself noticeable takes effort, and women don't put in that effort for guys they don't care about. If she's trying to get you to notice her, she's hoping that attention will lead to something more. So let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself as I go through these signs. How many of these behaviors have you seen but dismissed? Because if even 3 of these resonate with what's happening with a specific woman in your life, I guarantee she's been trying to grab your attention, and you've been missing every attempt sign once she positions herself in your line of sight. Constantly, let me paint you a picture. You're at work, at school, at the gym, at a party, wherever you regularly see her, and you start noticing something. She always seems to be nearby. Not right next to you, but close enough that you could easily see her, talk to her. Notice her? Maybe she's always in the same area you are. Maybe she passes by you more than makes sense. Maybe she positions herself where you'd naturally look. You probably think it's coincidence, right? That she just happens to be there, that it's random wrong when a woman is trying to grab your attention. One of the most basic strategies is proximity. She puts herself where you can see her, where you'll notice her, where interaction becomes possible. She's not stalking you. She's strategically placing herself in your environment. But here's what's really happening in her mind. She's thinking, if I'm not where he can see me, he'll never notice me. So she makes sure she's visible. She makes sure she's in your orbit. She makes sure that if you look up, you'll see her. You see this as just normal patterns, people being in the same places. But what's really happening is that she's deliberately choosing to be where you are more than where she'd naturally be. She's rearranging her position to maximize visibility to you. This is happening because women understand that attention starts with being noticed. You can't grab someone's attention if you're not in their field of awareness. So she's solving that problem by making sure she's consistently present. Pay attention. Next time, is there a woman who always seems to be nearby, who positions herself in places where you'd naturally look, who seems to appear in your space more often than probability would suggest? That's not random. That's calculated positioning. But here's the really telling detail. Watch what happens. When you do look her way, does she seem pleased? Does she make eye contact? Does she smile? Does she seem like she was hoping you'd notice? If yes, she's not just happening to be there. She's been waiting for you to look. The psychology behind. This is simple. We can't interact with what we don't notice by positioning herself in your line of sight. Repeatedly, she's increasing the chances you'll see her register her presence and eventually engage with her sign to. She changes something noticeable about her appearance. This one's huge and most guys completely miss it. You see her and you notice something's different. Maybe she changed her hair. Maybe she's wearing something eye-catching. Maybe she did her makeup differently. Maybe there's just something about her appearance that makes you look twice. You probably think she just felt like changing things up, that it has nothing to do with you. But let me tell you what's really happening. When a woman knows she's going to see you and she wants your attention, she often changes something about her appearance, specifically to get noticed. It's not vanity, it's strategy. She knows that novelty catches the eye, so she creates novelty. Here's the psychology behind it. Our brains are wired to notice change. Something different stands out where sameness blends in. If she shows up looking noticeably different from how you usually see her, your brain will flag it, you'll look, you'll notice, and that's exactly what she wants. But there's another layer here. Pay attention to when these changes happen. Does she seem to put extra effort into her appearance on days she knows she'll see you? Does she wear things that are more eye-catching or flattering? When you're around, if yes, those changes aren't random. They're for you, women who are trying to grab your attention. Understand that appearance is one of the most effective tools they have. People notice hair changes, clothing choices, anything that breaks the pattern, so she uses those tools strategically. The fact that she's doing this means she wants you to look at her. She wants you to notice her. She wants to stand out in your mind, and she's hoping that noticing her appearance will lead to you actually engaging with her. This is happening more than you realize. Start paying attention. Does she seem to put effort into how she looks around you? Does she change things up regularly? Does she wear things that draw the eye? That's not just personal style, that's attention-seeking behavior in the best possible way. And here's the critical detail if you notice a change and mention it. Watch how she reacts if she lights up, if she seems pleased, if she engages in conversation about it. She was hoping you'd notice that reaction confirms the change was at least partly for your benefit. Sign 3. She gets louder or more animated when you're around. Here's where it gets really interesting. You notice that her energy changes when you're nearby. Maybe she laughs louder, maybe she talks more animatedly, maybe she seems more expressive, more energetic, more present. Maybe her whole demeanor shifts when you enter the space. You probably think she's just in a good mood or naturally extroverted. But there's something much deeper happening here. When a woman is trying to grab your attention, she often increases her energy output when you're around. She gets louder, more expressive, more noticeable because quiet and reserved doesn't grab attention. Energy and animation does. Here's the psychology. When we want to be noticed, we instinctively increase our presence. We take up more space auditorily and physically. It's a biological strategy for standing out in a crowded environment. She's essentially making herself impossible to ignore, that woman who seems to get more vibrant when you show up, who suddenly becomes the most talkative person in the room, who laughs louder and gestures more when you're present. She's not having a personality change, she's bidding for your attention. You see this as just her personality, but what's really happening is that she's specifically amplifying her presence around you. She's creating sound and movement that will draw your eye and your attention, because that's the goal, to be noticed. This is happening because she understands that passive presence isn't enough. If she wants you to notice her among all the other people in the environment, she needs to stand out, and increasing energy is one of the most effective ways to do that. Pay attention. Next time, does her volume increase when you're around? Does she seem more expressive? Does she create more presence? Compare how she is when you're there versus when you're not. If there's a noticeable difference, that difference is strategic. But here's what makes this sign really reliable. It's hard to fake or maintain. If she wasn't genuinely trying to get your attention, she wouldn't consistently have more energy around you. The fact that it happens repeatedly means it's intentional, not coincidental. And here's another angle. Often she's not just being louder. Randomly, she's talking about things that might interest you. Sharing stories. She thinks you'd like discussing topics she knows you care about. She's not just making noise, she's making targeted noise designed to capture your specific attention. Sign 4. She finds reasons to interact with you, even about small things. This sign is all about creating contact, and most men don't realize how calculated it can be. She asks you questions she could easily find answers to elsewhere. She needs help with things she could probably handle herself. She brings up topics specifically to engage you. She creates reasons for interaction that wouldn't exist. Otherwise, each interaction seems natural, but when you step back, there's a clear pattern. She's manufacturing opportunities to talk to you. Here's what's really happening when a woman is trying to grab your attention. She creates touch points. She finds excuses to engage you, to start conversations, to be in direct contact with you. Because being noticed isn't enough, she wants interaction. The psychology behind this is fascinating. Every interaction is an opportunity to make an impression, to show her personality, to create connection. She's essentially giving herself multiple chances to get you interested by ensuring you interact with her regularly. That woman who always seems to have a question for you, who asks your opinion on things, who needs your help or input on various matters, who finds ways to start conversations. She's not just friendly or helpless. She's strategically creating opportunities to engage with you. You see this as random interactions or her needing assistance. But what's really happening is that she's using these moments to stay on your radar, to ensure you think about her, to build familiarity, because familiarity often leads to attraction. This is happening because she knows that passive presence isn't enough to grab real attention. Active engagement is what creates memory and connection. So she makes sure those engagements happen, even if she has to create somewhat artificial reasons for them. Pay attention to this. Does she seem to always have something to ask you? Does she seek your input or help regularly? Does she create conversations about things that aren't really that important? If yes, those aren't genuine needs. Those are manufactured opportunities. And here's the telling detail. If her questions or requests always seem to lead to longer conversations, if she uses the initial reason for contact as a springboard into deeper interaction, she's not actually concerned about the question, she's using it as an excuse to talk to you. Women who are trying to grab your attention are persistent. They don't just hope you'll notice them. They create multiple opportunities for you to engage with them, and each interaction is a chance for them to make you interested. Sign 5, she reacts visibly when you give attention to other women. This one's going to make you think about group dynamics. Have you noticed that when you talk to other women or give attention to someone else, she seems to change? Does her mood shift? Does she get quieter, or does she try even harder to get your attention back? Does she insert herself into the situation? Does her body language change? You probably think if you notice at all that she's just being moody or it's completely unrelated to you. But let me tell you what's really happening when a woman is trying to grab your attention and she sees that attention going elsewhere. It triggers a response. She either tries harder to reclaim your focus or she withdraws in frustration. Either reaction tells you she was competing for your attention in the first place. Here's the deeper psychology. If she didn't care about having your attention, she wouldn't care where that attention goes. But if she's been actively trying to get you to notice her, and then she sees you noticing someone else that's threatening to her goal, that woman who seems bothered when you talk to other women, who tries to interrupt or redirect your attention back to her, who gets noticeably different when your focus is elsewhere. She's not jealous in a relationship sense. She's frustrated that her attention grabbing efforts are being wasted on someone who's looking in the wrong direction. You see this as random mood changes, but what's really happening is that she's responding to the success or failure of her strategy. If you're not paying attention to her despite her efforts, she's disappointed. If you're giving that attention to someone else, she's competitive. This level of reaction doesn't happen with people we don't care about. Impressing. If she's responding to where your attention goes, it means she wants that attention on her, and she's been working to get it. Most guys miss this completely because they're not connecting the dots. But if you pay attention to her energy and engagement levels based on who you're talking to, or looking at the pattern becomes obvious. And here's what makes this sign particularly reliable. It's an involuntary response. She might try to hide it. But if you're paying attention, you'll see the shift in her body language, her facial expressions, her energy level. These micro expressions are hard to fake. The psychology behind why she won't just tell you directly. Now that we've covered the 5 signs, you might be wondering, if she wants my attention, why doesn't she just come up and talk to me? Why all these indirect attention-grabbing strategies? Understanding this psychology will help you recognize what's happening and what you should do about it. First, there's social conditioning. Many women are taught to attract attention rather than demand it, to create opportunities rather than force them by doing these attention-grabbing behaviors. She's following a script she's been taught about how to show interest. Second, there's fear of rejection. Directly approaching you and starting a conversation requires more courage and creates more risk. If she tries to grab your attention and you don't respond, she can tell herself you just didn't notice. If she directly approaches and you're not interested, that's a clearer rejection. Third, there's the belief that men should pursue once she's grabbed your attention. The expectation is that you'll do something with it, that you'll approach, that you'll initiate. She's doing her part by making herself noticeable. Now she's waiting for you to do yours. Fourth, it maintains some control by trying to grab your attention rather than directly initiating. She stays in a position where she can gauge your interest before fully committing. If you respond positively to her attention grabs, she knows it's safe to be more direct. Here's the key insight. These attention-grabbing behaviors aren't games. They're genuine attempts to get noticed by someone she's interested in. She's doing the work she feels comfortable doing and hoping you'll recognize it and respond what this means for you and what to do about it. If you're recognizing multiple these signs from the same woman, she's trying to grab your attention and she's been trying for a while, but awareness is just the first step. What matters is what you do with this information. If you're interested too, it's time to give her what she's been working for: your attention, and more importantly, your action. She's positioned herself, she's made herself noticeable, she's created opportunities. Now you need to take those opportunities. Here's a simple approach. Next time you notice her trying to grab your attention, actually engage, give her eye contact, start a conversation, acknowledge what she's doing. This doesn't mean calling her out, but it means responding to her efforts. If she's showing you three or more of these signs, she wants you to notice her, and she wants that noticing to lead somewhere. Take the hint, start a real conversation, ask her to hang out, make your interest clear, but here's what you absolutely cannot do. You cannot keep missing these signals. She won't keep trying forever. At some point, she'll decide you're either not interested or completely oblivious, and she'll give up or redirect her energy elsewhere. Understand that attention grabbing takes effort. She's putting in work to get you to notice her. The least you can do if you're interested is acknowledge that effort and do something with it. Remember, these aren't desperate behaviors. These are confident, strategic moves by someone who knows what she wants and is trying to get it. Honor that by being brave enough to respond. Final thoughts. If you're seeing three or more of these signs from the same woman, stop being oblivious. She's trying to grab your attention. She's interested. She's making effort, and she's hoping you'll finally notice and do something about it. The attention-grabbing phase doesn't last forever. Eventually, she'll either succeed in getting your attention and moving things forward, or she'll give up and move on. Don't let that decision get made by your inaction. So here's my challenge. Think about the women in your life. Is there someone who's consistently trying to grab your attention? If yes, stop pretending. You don't notice. Start engaging. Start responding. Start taking action. And remember, somewhere right now, there might be a woman who's been working to get you to notice her, who's been putting herself in your path, who's been hoping you'll finally look her way and see what she's been trying to show you. The question is, are you paying enough attention to notice? And more importantly, are you brave enough to do something about it once you do?